Welcome to Flash Basics tutorial number 5, up-down counters with variables. I have the CS5 program open and I'm going to open a new document. I'm going to keep the default. Layer 1 I'm going to call text, T-E-X-T. Select frame 1. Pick up my text tool and I'm going to make a small text box here. Come up to the properties panel. Make sure it's dynamic text and give it a name of count text, capital C-O-U-N-T _ TXT, and make sure you have this dynamic text selected. Lock this text layer, insert a layer, call it action script, AS I call it. Open the actions panel and I want to put something in that text box, so type in this capital C-O-U-N-T _ text, that's the box we just made, period text, text will turn blue, that's the default color for special words, equals, quotation, the count is, quotation, semicolon. So all that's going to do is write this the count is in that box. Let's do a quick test. And there it is, the count is. Now we get this warning about embedded font, so let's go back to that main timeline. Unlock the text layer, select frame 1, make sure this text box is selected, and come up here, open the properties panel, and down here where it says embedded, double click on that. When it opens, select all, and what we're doing is allowing all these characteristics to be embedded in the FLA. If you're hard up by space, then you might just want to pick lowercase, uppercase numbers, but I'm going to just select all, it's easier. And I noticed that when I ran my movie that there was some dias was cut off, so I'm just going to make this a little longer. There. Close my properties panel. Lock all my layers again. Select the text layer. Insert a layer. Call it buttons. Buttons. B-U-T-T-O-N-S. Put my buttons in here. And make sure frame 1 is selected. I'm going to pick up the straight line tool right here. And I'm going to draw a quick arrow. So I'm just going to draw a line down like this. Keep it straight. Cross over. And I'm purposely making them cross over like that and touch and cut each other because it's easier to work with when we're trying to fill it. And I'm going to go down the center here like that and one across like that. Take my fill, I have a red fill, and fill the parts that are my arrow. Pick up my selection tool and just highlight the ends, and you can delete those little tails that are sticking up. Oh, not that one, undo. Delete that, that, no, and we'll delete that, and that'll be enough for now. I'm going to use my selection tool, highlight the whole thing, right click on it, copy it, click off to the side, paste in place, go up here to modify. While it's selected, modify, transform, flip horizontally, and now use your arrow keys, just slightly tab it over a little bit, and that's my arrow. You can spend some time with it if you want. That's the best I'm doing. Make sure nothing's selected. Pick up selection tool, select the whole thing. Up to modify, convert it to a symbol. We're going to make sure it's a button. And I'm going to call it button, B-U-T-T-O-N. TTON underscore BTN. I label all my buttons with an underscore BTN. Come over to the properties panel, and I want to call this one down count button. DOWNCOUNT. My D is big and my capital, and my C is capital, underscore BTN. This is the button that will be my down count. Every time I click this, it'll count down. And let's select the library panel right here. Grab that button, bring it in, close, go over here, up count button. So we're using the same button for two different instances. UP, capital COUNT, underscore BTN. That's my up count button. Let's go back to the timeline and select this button over here. Go up to Modify, Transform, and flip vertically. So there's my down count button, there's my up count button. Open the Actions panel, open the Actions frame. Below this line, I want you to type in this code. Type. There's that button, down count underscore BTN. That's the button we just made. Period, add event listener, small a, capital E, capital L. That will turn blue. Open bracket, mouse event, capital M, capital E, period, capital C, capital L, capital I, CK. It's all capitals. This will turn blue. A comma, and we're going to call this function we're making countdown, capital C, capital D, close bracket, semicolon. Then we're going to type in the word function. It'll turn purple if that's my default. Copy this countdown and paste it in here. Bracket, event, small e, colon. Copy this, paste it in here. Close bracket, colon, void. An open bracket. And then type in trace, T-R-A-C-E. This is just a tool that helps us see things happen that aren't published when you make a video. They're just for a purpose of testing and troubleshooting. So trace, it will turn blue, open bracket, and what's in quotations will be printed out when we press this button, down count. So it's a quotation mark, countdown. There's no, you can spell this any way you want. Close quotation, close bracket, semicolon, and a close curly bracket for that function. Click here at the bottom, select that entire button, those lines, right click, copy them. Come down to the end, insert a line, paste them, and instead of down count, it will be up count, UP. Instead of down count here, it'll be up count, UP. And the same will be here, UP. And this will be count up, UP. So let's test that and see what happens. Control, test movie. First I have no faults, and then when I press this, nothing on the stage will change, but over here this open box will say count down, this one will say count up. Back to the main timeline, open the Actions panel, select frame 1, open it, and I want introduced a variable now, so select the very top corner, put an enter in, use your arrow key to go up, and we're going to make a variable, VAR. It'll be a purplish color. That's just telling the computer this is going to be a place where we're going to store information, and it's going to be called value, VALUE, and put a colon to tell me, and see I get all these choices of what I can do here. So I'm going to start typing capital N for number, N-U, and number comes as soon as this number highlights, just press enter, equals, and I'm going to give this an equals 5, just a value that's going to be in there. So what that means is anytime we see the word value, it's going to be replaced by the number 5. This count text, period text, I want to change that. I want to click right here after the is and put the word coming, C-O-M-M-I-N-G, coming. Not a big change. When this button down is pressed, we want some things to happen. So at the end of this line, that's trace line, I want you to type in this, type, these 3 lines. This is that variable value up here. So it says when you press the countdown button, you're going to trace count down, but that value that had 5, you're going to take it, so it's equal to itself, which was 5, minus 1. So now it's going to be worth 4. If I press it again, it will be worth 3, 2. So every time we press this down button, value is going to decrement by 1. We're going to make a trace statement, TRACE again, bracket, value. Unlike here where we had the quotations and actually seen the word count down, we're not going to see the word value. We're going to see what's inside the value. And at this time, if we only press the button once, it's going to be 4, 5 minus 1, close bracket, semicolon. And at the same time, this count text that we made, there is their count text. You can just copy this and paste it. It's going to be equal to. So we're not going to print this anymore, that the count is coming. We're going to say, quotation, the count is the, then a space, count, space, then a space here, quotation, and this says add this word, not mathematically, but put whatever's in value, which we know now is going to be 4, plus quotation, space, now, period, quotation, semicolon. So it's going to say the count is 4 now. Okay. Come down to the up count here. Copy this. These 3 lines, copy them, right click, copy. After this count up trace, enter, paste what you copied, and change this to a plus, to add 1. So every time we come to the count up, it will add 1 and trace it, and also display it in our stage. So let's see if we get any problems here. Control, test, movie, test. I don't see any errors back here. If I press up, it says 6. Down, it says 5, 4, 3, 2. Remember, started at 5. Up, down. And it's keeping track of it, but it's cutting it off. So I'm going to make that text box a little bigger. Open the text box again, close the button box. Make this text box longer. The longer the better. Okay. I'm back on scene 1. Select frame 1 of the actions panel. Open it. Open the actions panel. Go up to top here where I have my variables. So after this first variable, I'm doing an enter and I'm putting in another variable. Type. Variable, VAR, INCRE. That's a capital I I'm putting here. I'm calling this variable inc as an increment. Put a colon, it's a number, and I'm incrementing it by 5. And at this time, I'm going to go back up here and make value a 0. So I'm going to start with 0 instead of 5, but I'm going to increment by 5. I'm going to copy this word inc. Copy it. And now here's where the value comes into having the variable. So instead of me taking and subtracting 1, I'm going to put the word, highlight it, and paste the word inc in here. So now when we count down, we're going to count down by 5s. This is going to, whatever we put here is going to be how much we're counting by. And we want to do the same thing down here. Get rid of this one and paste in the ink. So now let's see that, what that looks like. If I count down, -5, -10, see it's counting down, -15, and naturally if I count up, plus, -10, -5, now we're going to the plus ranges, so that works quite well. Back on the main timeline, lock all layers, select the buttons layer, insert a layer, and call it INCRETXT as for increment text. Select frame 1, select your text tool, and right here, somewhere around here, put a little box. Up to your properties panel, make sure it's dynamic text, and call it INCRE_TXT. So it has a name. We can write text on it. We can write script on it. Open up the actions panel. And up here with our variables, right after this variable inc, type in this. Type, one line. It's a text field. It's called incra, same name, underscore text. It doesn't have to be, but this is the amount we're going to be incrementing by. And so it's INCRE_TXT, I have a capital I, period, TEXT, text will turn blue, equals, and in quotations I have a 5. Open quotation 5, close quotation, semicolon. Make sure all the layers are locked on this scene 1. Unlock the buttons layer. Select frame 1. Use whatever color, stroke, and fill you want, doesn't matter. I'm going to select my oval tool right here. We'll make an oval like that. Make sure, pick up my selection tool, click off the side, make sure nothing's selected. Select that oval I just made, modify it, convert it to a symbol. It's this time going to be a button again, and we're going to call it INCRE, that same sort of name, _BTN, it's a button. And this one we're going to call, open the properties panel, INCRE incra 10 _BTN. Close that. Open the library panel, drag one more of these in, close it, open your properties panel, call this INCRE incra 50 _BTN. Close that. Open your library panel, bring another one in, close your panel, drag that over here, make this 100. INCRE 100 _MBTN. Okay. I have these buttons. Now, just select this button for a minute, move it out of the way, and move this one out of the way for a minute. Now highlight them all. Open your alignment panel. If you haven't got it on this toolbar, open it through Windows. Right there, alignment panel. And while you have them selected, open that panel. Make sure that this is not highlighted to stage, and click. See, when I say it, aligns horizontal center, and it puts them in line. Saves you some steps. Pick up your text tool while we're here. Right beside it, let's pick up a different color here, a blue. It's a good idea. And write, make sure this is static text. heading text, and let's make it a smaller font, somewhere around 15, 12, something like that. That's good. And right in here, 10, selection tool, drag it in. Come back again with your text tool. I think the other one was 50. Drag it in. And the last one was 100. And drag it in. Okay, go back to your Actions panel. Open it up. And we now want to write some script for them buttons. So directly below this line that says count text, directly below there, I want you to type in this code. Type, 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 type. It says incra 10 underscore button. That's that button we made, that 10 button. Period. This is the same, right? You could go from here, click and copy this if you wanted to down here, and paste it up here. Let's add event listener. Open bracket most event, period, click, comma. The only thing difference between this line and the one we copied was this has to be incra 10. That's the name we're giving it to it. Again, this line you could cut and copy and paste, and the only thing you have to change is this line. So it says function incra 10, incre 10, open bracket event small e colon most event. Just copy this most event and put it down there. Close bracket colon void, and there's the open bracket for this function and the close bracket for this function. This incra here, this variable incra, that was 5, so when we were incrementing by 5 before, we're going to change that incra variable to a 10. So now when we write our text string, when we write this text string, incra is going to be changing by the value of 10 instead of 5. So now copy this from here up to there. Right click, copy it. Click on the end, insert a line, paste it in. Where you see 10, put 50. Where you see 10, put 50. And here, 50. And here, 50. We already still have that in our, we're still holding that, what we copied. Come down here below this line, below this curly bracket, paste again. This time just add a 0 for the 100 button. 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, if we have everything done right, let's test this movie. It says I have a duplicate definitions. Makes sense, and I know what they are. On lines 13 and 19, I know exactly what they are. Open my Actions panel. On 19, it's right here. I didn't make this a 0. I missed a 0 here. And up on 13, here, this should have been a 5 instead of a 1. So that panel, that error panel sure helps. Let's test again. No errors this time. And if we increment it, it goes up in counts of 5s. 15, 20, decrementing, 15, 10. I can count by 10s now. 10, 20, 30 down here, 40. Watch here, 50. By 50s, if I decrement it by 50, go down to 0, minus 50, minus 100. Decrement it another 100, minus 200. And if I increment it, that's working really well. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope you use what you learn.